Hello everybody and welcome to the Awaken Cast. I'm your host, Jeremy. Today we're going to be diving into an exciting blend of fantasy and reality as we explore the world of Dungeons & Dragons through the lens of ADHD. Join me as I share my journey about navigating the chaos, both as Dungeon Master and a player. So, if you're ready, let's roll the dice and get started. Welcome to episode 1, ADHD and D&D. Kind of rhymes, also kind of like the shiny teeth and me, my ADHD and me and D&D and D&D, my ADHD and D&D. Yeah, you get the point. This is going to be a fun show today. Do not worry. I did take my 5 ants today, so the chaos will be a little bit more organized. Do you have ADHD and play Dungeons & Dragons? Are you a dungeon master that struggles to plan your games? Struggling to stay focused, but really want to be present in the game? Well, I've been there many times. Trust me. I've been playing D&D for well over 8 years now. Most of that time has been spent as a dungeon master. But when I did start playing as a player, I was undiagnosed with ADHD. And the players and the DMs around me would say I was chaotic and kind of unhinged as a player. They were just not ready. I would find that D&D was my outlet to unmask and let my weird side out, because the world had told me that I am going to be the weird one, and just to hide that. This was my way to really start discovering who I am and to unmask. At the table, I would describe my characters, say, disemboweling monsters when I kill it, or like in another tabletop RPG, Shadowrun, I turned on the burner of a stove, keeping one side plugged in, waiting for it to get burning red, and then uncoiling it, shoving it into the eye sockets of enemies. Yeah, that kind of unhinged. It was a weird outlet and just the chaos that came into my head, and I just had to do it. As soon as I played, there was just something about D&D RPGs that, you know what, I needed more. You know what, the next logical step after being a player for, I think 3 weeks, I jumped into being a dungeon master. I let that just take control. I really did let myself just be, yeah, you know what, I like this game. I'm just going to jump right into the deep end, be a dungeon master right away. When I became a DM, I did become a little bit more present at the table, and I could concentrate to a degree. I would let my thoughts just be vomited out to my players, and, well, when I did start being a dungeon master, I was very selfish, and I kind of controlled the way the game ran because I just won my understanding and my way. Even though back then I had a sense that, you know what, I think I'm being a pretty good DM. And I mean, in the grand scheme of things, I probably wasn't the worst. But, you know, those things called notes? Who heard of them? Players doing something I didn't know how to cope with? Well, I'm just going to railroad them and just kind of point them in the right direction. But I feel like I did them subtly. But looking back, I definitely did have a sense of control because I had no idea what I was doing, and the chaos of my mind did take over. Now, as a player, I'm still pretty chaotic, as you heard from those 2 examples, but I rein it in now a little bit. I'm still chaotic. I do build a purpose behind my characters now. Before, I didn't. I want them to be part of the party and have interesting dynamics with each and every player character. And it's also internal with my characters. I want them to have a dynamic to them that they do struggle, that they are an actual person. But as a DM now, I let my players have more freedom. I guide instead of controlling. I actually stopped talking and let my players have time to interact with one another's characters. Before, that wasn't even a thing. Seriously, I would just kind of talk and talk and talk. They would talk for a little bit, then I'd just be like, okay, I'm going to continue the story. No, that's not okay. That's one of those things that I'm just like, why did I do that? But now I've grown as a dungeon master. It takes time. You will learn from your mistakes. I encourage you, learn from those mistakes and you'll do great. And I also let them build their character relationships now and let them build this story with me. That's just so much fun to let them collaborate with me because they have some pretty cool ideas, if I do say so myself. Now, being a player or a DM, it should always be about having fun and playing together instead of against each other. Now, my ADHD is diagnosed, but even when it wasn't, I did develop some strategies as a dungeon master to take notes and keep myself on track. Mainly voice recording my sessions. Huge. Because when I re-listen to them, I take notes, the big points of that session, so that I can respect the time that my players took during that session. At the moment of playing, I'm engrossed with the game and I don't really think about notes. So having that voice recording means when those important moments happen, I can write them down. So when the next session comes, I know the NPCs that I made up on the spot, their names and what they're like. That also goes for like towns, worlds, places. You just randomly make names off the top of your head. I do it so I can respect the time my players have put into the game, create that investment for me and my players. As a player, this is where I'm going to be real honest. I do have a hard time concentrating on what the DM is saying, what others are doing around me. I do have some strategies that really help me kind of focus. So having a task, like this is going to be like more me specific. I like doing it because it helps me write notes. I like being the one setting up my audio gear and focusing on recording the sessions. I know, little geeky, but it helps me focus on what everyone is saying. It keeps me engaged at the table and it helps the DM along the way because honestly, we're not all going to remember every little detail of the sessions. So it does help them as well to have that voice recording so that if they missed anything during the session with notes, helps them. So it's kind of like a team player situation. I know it's a weird strategy, but it works for me. Try finding the weird strategies for you at your table as a player. Having a Rubik's Cube, fidget toys, anything that can really hone your mind at the table. If it's writing notes to get the details of the session, do it. If that's something that you can do. I also want to kind of challenge you. Put away those fancy electronics while playing D&D. I know, crazy. Who would have thought? Our electronics, our phones, our computers, they are very distracting. Let's be real here. Sticking to pencil and paper the old-fashioned way also kind of teaches you how to work around your character sheets and also keeps you more present in the moment. It leads to less distractions, which honestly, your DM will love you for that. There are so many strategies and so much things that you can do as a player. So I encourage you to find those things to help decrease those distractions. I have a challenge for you. Try going 2 sessions without technology and focusing primarily on pen and paper. DMs, I understand if you need your technology, you have a lot on your plate. But players, treat yourself to some spell cards or some dice for your class, your character. It's your excuse to do those 2 sessions. It's like a pre-reward for being so good without technology. Or like other supplemental things that you may want for your character. I encourage you to seek out things that can help you stay focused and present on the game. If you need to stand up and walk around the table wherever is available and you are there and it helps you be present in the game, do it. I encourage you to do that. And Dungeon Masters, I also encourage you to help your players with ADHD to find ways to keep them present at the table because it's honestly not always easy for us to reach out about our ADHD. Sometimes we internalize that a lot. And so encouraging that conversation can help bring out strategies that you both can work together with other players at the table, with yourself, and with them. Because D&D is a commitment. It is hours of playing. And for some people, that is so hard to do. They need to get up, walk around, maybe need to take a break, what have you. Just find those strategies to help everybody at the table, and it's so important. But also, I'm not going to put all the weight on the Dungeon Master. Players, yeah, I'm talking to you. If you're someone who with ADHD, please tell your DM. And also with the other players at the table, so you can let them know what you need. Advocate for yourself and communicate what your needs are at the table. And work on a strategy that works for everyone at the table, so everybody can have fun, work together, because we're all friends at the table. We love one another, and we want to have fun. Let's help each other at our tables and have fun. It's about escaping reality and having fun with our friends, fighting the enemies, feeling powerful, and really just discovering who your character is and maybe even who you are. So whether you're a seasoned dungeon master or a player just starting out, dealing with ADHD in the world of D&D can be quite the adventure. I want to leave you with this. How do you navigate that chaos in your mind as a dungeon master or a player? How do you keep your focus and creativity flowing at the table? So I just want to start that conversation with you. So I encourage you to just think about those. Even like bring this podcast episode up to your dungeon master, to your table, and ask these questions and discover yourselves at the table, becoming closer as a team, as friends, so that you can become better friends and have more fun at the table. So thanks for tuning into this episode of the Awakencast. If you enjoyed our chat, be sure to check out our website at theawakencast.com for more content. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram at The Awakencast for more updates and kind of behind the scenes fun. And if you want to keep the conversation going with me and have any questions for me, you can join our awesome community on Discord. I'm the host, Jeremy, reminding you to stay curious, stay kind, and keep being awesome. Until next time, happy adventuring.